just going to start this by saying that whenever Paul Montgomery's around, it ends up being a little bit chaotic. Oh, we live. Yes, we are. My two gentlemen sat to the right of me. All they're doing is exchanging contacts or something, or the next opportunity to do a beer meetup. I think it's the challenges of running a small business, which coincidentally is the very topic we're going to be talking about in this next podcast here live from the Plymouth Life Centre for the Devon Business Show 2025, brought to you from the Devon Chamber of Commerce. So let's introduce our panellists. In fact, it's kind of become tradition for me to ask our panellists to introduce themselves, because what I have learned is that some of them have very complicated titles. I don't know if that's necessarily the case here. They're just very complicated people. So who do I have to the right of me with a very, very lovely grin?
Good morning. Morning? Afternoon? I've lost track.
Still morning. It is still morning, but they might be watching on replay.
True.
Yeah.
So my name is Frankie Eaton-Jones, and I come from Assets, and I am an Accounts and Business Advisory Services Senior Manager.
Wow.
So yes, complicated one there.
That's a good one. And who do we have next to you in the middle?
I'm Chris Warren. I am the owner of Kaya Gallery Limited, the art gallery on the Barbican.
Okay, and who do we have from the end?
I'm Paul Montgomery from Sir Fix-A-Lock.
Do you have a title, Sir Fix-A-Lock? Or
Sir.
you just...
Knight of the Keys.
Just Sir. Yeah, I love it. Right, okay, so we've learned a lot this morning in our previous episodes. We've learned about the importance of branding as we spoke to Amanda and team about the new Plymouth City brand, which I encourage everyone to take on board and get behind. We've learned about the world around us, the importance of being environmentally friendly, looking at your supply chain and the impacts that it has on your business and the kind of legacy you leave behind you environmentally. We've also learned about, and we've talked about skills and how we acquire and find the next range of talent for your business. But what we are learning about now is the fact that Paul Montgomery needs his speakers turned up. Do you need your headphones turned up, Paul?
I definitely need mine turned up.
You definitely do.
mine.
You've obviously been listening to your music far too loud at home. That's it, the knob in the middle. Turn them. Brilliant. All good? All good. Everyone needs their headphones. I thought I was
better.
the only one here that was slightly deaf from years of broadcasting. Yeah. Do you need me to go back over it again, Mr. Montgomery? You okay?
No, I'm sure we can flag it
Fantastic.
again.
Right, brilliant. So we'd like to talk about small businesses and the challenges that we all face when it comes to running a business in the current climate and environment, which I think is fair to say is rather fast changing. Let's start with Frankie, because obviously you are in contact with a lot of businesses, as it's represents and works with hundreds, maybe even thousands of organisations around the region. What's the kind of pulse that you're taking from the business landscape?
I mean, businesses are struggling at the moment. There is a lot coming out that is making them consider things. So in terms of legislative changes to employees, that's putting a lot of onus on employers, and people are taking a step back now and considering whether they do employ or whether they potentially exit, which we're seeing quite a lot, or use subcontractors. With the autumn budget coming up in November, it is a big concern about what's going to change next. So small businesses are really looking at how they can grow their businesses in a sustainable way without taking on more staff, which is not always necessarily the solution. So a lot of what I'm doing with my clients at the moment is looking at reoccurring management information and doing accountability coaching to try and get them to their goals. But we have a lot of podcasts online that are touching on the subjects of what the small businesses are facing at the moment.
So there are genuine concerns out there. It's not an easy landscape.
No, it is not an easy landscape. And things like making tax digital, that will be coming in April. There are concerns for small businesses there. So anybody that has turnover of 50,000 or more, they're going to have to do a lot more filing, record keeping in a digital way.
Of course they are.
Yeah.
There's always
I
more
know.
filing and record keeping.
And you know what? People don't want to be focusing on that. They want to be doing what they love, and the reason
fun
why
stuff.
they set up their business.
Actually running their business.
I know. What a crazy idea.
Yeah. Chris, Kaya Gallery, you, if there's anyone who knows about how the high street is feeling at the moment, it most certainly will be you. It's not as it isn't what it used to be.
No, the footfall is down, and carrying on from what Frankie said, she obviously in her profession, she speaks to a lot of businesses. I also wear another hat. I'm the chair of the Barbican Traders Association, so the same conversations you're having, people are coming to me saying things that I don't want to hear, like if our lease was in the last year, we might decide it's not sustainable anymore, we'd pull out. So the landscape is challenging at the moment. Just looking at the Barbican as a whole, we've lost a lot of our parking, which we've got a big petition on at the moment, and we're trying to get the parking reinstated, because if things were challenging before, to lose the parking in Southside Street, that is a major issue. That's just one of the things that adds to the lack of footfall.
But let's bring in Paul. Now, Paul, you're quite an optimistic person. It's very easy for us to sit around and say that things are challenging, but sometimes it's good to accept a challenge and look at it as an opportunity to succeed, which is certainly what you've been doing.
Absolutely. If something's changing, you've got to adapt. You've got to think ahead, and you've got to, whether you're going to market a certain place or speak to certain people, you can't just accept that things are happening and go, oh no. That's the challenge, to go and do something about it. And like we were talking about digitization, I think that's a horrible thing. Years ago, when we were growing up, you never had a problem. If you didn't have a phone, things were so much easier. People had time to go and do stuff. And with digitization, everything is becoming a burden. And you mentioned the time burden when it does go digital next year for the tax. Everything just squeezing time out of local businesses and not concentrating on family. And I think it's a burden on the family as well as the businesses to try and get more work in.
And Frankie, you mentioned about business owners looking to exit. I guess you're using it as a polite word for saying give up. But, despite everything, there's clearly a desire to grow and succeed. Not all businesses are kind of like, some are sticking their head above water, aren't they? And really still giving it a go.
Yeah, I mean, when I say exit, there are lots of elements in relation to that. So it may be people closing up shop, which is what you're alluding to there. But it may be the opportunity that they're looking at the next generation within their business and selling it to them, so that they're going, I don't want this onus, I've made my money for the time, but you guys can take it on, and that kind of thing. But yes, there's definitely that appetite for growth, and especially now with the next generations coming up and through, there is a huge amount of focus on sustainability and doing what's right for communities, and with that comes great opportunities where we haven't seen that in history, really. So we are seeing digital, while we were talking about digital onus there, tools like AI are enabling people to automate a lot of the stuff that would have taken up their time before to actually do what they love. So whilst there are concerns, it is a great time to start a business doing what you love.
Yeah, and with AI, you're talking about utilising it as a tool to help time save your own time plan.
Absolutely. It's not there to replace people. It's to take away those things that you don't really enjoy doing, really questioning whether you need to do some of it. And looking at your whole process as a whole.
Yeah. So with regards to the future of the high street, there's a lot happening in the city in order to make Plymouth the destination of choice.
Yes.
Which is extremely positive.
Very positive, with the, like you alluded to, with the Team Plymouth thing and the defence money that's coming. That can only be a good thing for the whole of Plymouth. So my advice to businesses, like Paul was saying, yeah, it's challenging, but there are many ways to keep going and meet those challenges. As a tiny little business, we've basically we've done more sponsorship to get our name out there. Like, in fact, today we're all wearing the Kaya Gallery lanyards. We're the lanyards partner for the 3rd year, and we found that really works. And we do quite a bit in the community with the semi-professional football team, Plymouth Parkway, Plymouth Albion Ladies Rugby. I was here on Sunday, sponsor the shorts for the Raiders basketball, and I'm talking to the man himself who I copied. Paul, it does work. You can get your name out there in a very positive community way by actually giving back almost. Like yourself and Paul, we're cut from the same cloth. And
definitely.
You can give back in so many ways, but it's also very positive for your business.
And actually, Paul, let's talk about doing things to actually highlight success for your business, because we all work really hard, whether we're employed or whether we're employees, whether we're entrepreneurs or whether we're sole traders, which is arguably the most difficult way of being an entrepreneur, literally doing it all yourself. You submitted Sir Fix-a-Lock for the King's Award for Enterprise, and you actually went out and blew and got it.
Yeah, I love a challenge. I've got a saying that difficult doesn't mean impossible. It just means difficult.
Yes.
And the challenges, and there's no better challenge than someone saying you can't do that. That's the greatest incentive to keep going. And we spent about 60 hours work just putting the paperwork in for the first year we did it, and we didn't get it at all, and that's heartbreaking because you put your heart and soul into it when you are doing it, and then we had to decide whether to do it again, and we did, and the proof's in the pudding. If you work for it, you can get it, and that is the hardest business award and accolade to get. There's 5 companies in Plymouth who have the King's Queen's Award, but I almost did it to prove it could be done, and that was one of my incentives to do it. I love that, to keep going.
I was going to ask why. Obviously it gives you an accolade and it gives you the crest which you can put on all your uniforms and head note paper, all that kind of stuff, and on your website. So it becomes a quality mark, doesn't it, as well?
It is a quality mark. I mean, it's recognised. A lot of people don't know about it because it is quite a rare thing to get, which is why I try to educate. I would love to see many other businesses in Plymouth, and I do go out there proactively to try and get other people to do it. But why not challenge yourself? Life's there to be challenged and do difficult things, and it's almost fun to try and do the hardest things, because when you achieve it, there's no greater, better feeling. It's like when you give money away to charities. You can't go into a shop and buy that euphoria. You can go sea swimming, which is really good for you. But when you're helping out the community, you're getting back something that you physically cannot buy, and it's good for your business as well. Don't get me wrong. There is a certain good for your business, but you do feel that factor, and that's what keeps you being happy in life. And I think you've got to be happy. We're only here once. You got to enjoy your life while you're at it.
Absolutely. Now, Frankie, Paul is a guy who's very optimistic. He loves this business. He loves working. He loves communicating and engaging with the community. Sometimes when you're running a business, the challenges can get on top of you, and it becomes a heavy weight. And I'm sure at Assets you've worked with businesses that have been in that kind of like stuck in a rut, maybe a bit low. How do you work with those firms to kind of re-engage them, revitalize them, and give them a bit of a reboot?
It's a really good question. Firstly, you need to get them in the room, because quite often when people are feeling like that, they will stick their head in the sand. So we'll go out to our clients as much as possible to try and have those conversations in an environment that they feel comfortable in. And it's one of the ways we do it is we talk about why they set up the business in the first place and what they want out of it, what they need out of it, and we just take it back to basics, almost looking at that business plan that they had in the first place. Because a business plan is really important. You don't just do it to go get finance. It is your direction, it is your focus of what you need to monitor, and it is those 90-day goals of what you need to achieve to get to where you want to be. So we'll sit down. I talked about accountability coaching, so people saying to me, I need to get this amount of sales to be able to survive. Well, how are you going to do that? We set actions, and then I'm going to turn around and say, have you done that? Have you done that? And we often think to ourselves, we'll hold ourselves accountable, but it doesn't always happen. Paul, you're obviously somebody that holds yourself massively accountable, and you go out, you do it once you've decided on it. But that's not always the way with people.
He always pays the bill at the end of the month. I can at least say that.
Yeah, so we're looking at that. We're looking at management information. We're looking at financing options for people, grant applications, and all sorts. And because we are so big as a top 10 firm, we have a huge network of contacts, and it's amazing to be able to put people in touch with those individuals to go, I know somebody that can help you on that specific thing, and do that signposting.
And you mentioned business plan, and I think it's fair to say that some businesses kind of fear the concept of a business plan, thinking it's spreadsheet after spreadsheet, form filling and huge, massive documentation. A business plan for a business is literally a plan for that business. It doesn't necessarily have to be massively detailed and financial. It could be aspirational. It could be, this is the calendar. These are the things we need to deliver. At what point, KPIs, ways of breaking down the journey. it can be different for each business how that plan looks, can't it?
Absolutely. And I would say that a business plan shouldn't really be more than an A4 document, because if it's not, then you're not really looking at the business on what you're meant to be focusing on. So it should have 3 goals that you're trying to achieve over the next year, a goal for a long term, and actions to do all of those, and those KPIs for how you're going to monitor reaching those goals ultimately, your mission statement, your core values, so that you can focus on your business.
Paul, you're nodding away. You've had to do a lot of planning in order to move things forward.
I've never once put pen to paper in all the years I've been in business. I don't write things down. If I've got an idea, I do it. I literally have it in front of me. I deal with it. But we're all different. We all have different ways. Some people have to write it down. But I was agreeing with the fact that it shouldn't be bigger than an A4 piece of paper, because you just need punchlines. And once you get them there, and act on it, And some people have to write those things down. I just don't personally, but it should be short, sharp, and sweet. Keep it simple, stupid. KISS, the mnemonic, and it just works.
Yes, yeah.
And the most simple it is going to, because then you're not going to get bogged down in detail. You're going to action that piece of paper what's in front of you, and I think that definitely works.
Yeah, let's bring in Chris.
I agree with that. I'm in the camp with Paul. I don't write things down, and we decide we're going to do something, and we chase it, and we do it. And like you say, the shorter the journey to getting from where you are to where you want to be, that makes it that much more simpler and easier to go after. And we've done a few things in recent years exactly like that. We've had an idea and we said, right, we're going to go for it. How do we go for it? And we've just stuck to it, because as I said, it's been challenging, but we've been there 10 and a half years, so we're doing something right. And thanks to one of Paul's very good friends, and I know you know Scott Brenny.
Yes.
He said one day to us, do you realise you've got a, what's it called, the tic-tac-toe thing? Hashtag. God, that's good for me. That's the badger. And he said, every time I put something up about you and say Kaya Gallery, I get a reply back saying, oh, you mean the People's Gallery? So he went to a company that Scott does a lot of business with, and he bought us a welcome rug which says, welcome to Kaya Gallery, the People's Gallery. So it proves you can do it, and you can be seen, like Paul, to be part of that community. And
sometimes it's, you said about seeing fear. I think we've all experienced fear when running a business, and sometimes you just have to go for it. I mean, Fresh Air Studios, I'll just bring us in here, we've just built a whole new studio complex.
And it looks great,
biggest investment we've ever made. But my word, it was like, oh, we're going to buy a building. Oh, we're going to strip it back, and we're going to build 7 studios. It's a bit of it's a very scary thing. We did have a business plan for that. Okay? Before you look at me like that, thinking, you absolute loony, we have got a business plan. And trust me, it was actually bigger than a sheet of A4. Sometimes you have to see the fear or feel the fear, but do it anyway and just give it your best shot. Gents, do you agree?
Definitely.
Frankie, do you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, risk is what makes good entrepreneurs at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, well, thank you very much to the 3 of you for joining us. I would like to ask, Chris, when are you releasing your game of hashtags? Is that a board game or?
Oh, it could well be.
Fantastic.
But yeah, it was Scott Brenny. I've got to give Scott a little praise for that, because he said every time we put something up that said Kaya Gallery, it came back with the People's Gallery, and now it sticks, which is great.
Brilliant.
I'm just going to remember tic-tac-toe now.
Yeah, you'll never forget it. Yeah, exactly. Frankie, Chris and Paul, thank you very much for joining us. Coming up this afternoon, we've got a whole range of additional interviews. We'll be finding out about the Devon Chamber of Commerce, and we'll be meeting its new CEO. Good. And also we'll be looking back at the event here. This is the Devon Business Show from the Plymouth Life Centre.